Welcome to Sincerely Bhakti, episode 25. The title's a little long, but we'll go with this. To work or not to work? That is Arjuna's question. And this verse that we're focusing on is Krishna's response to Arjuna's question. So far in the Gita, Krishna has described how to engage with work, karma yoga, and renounce the fruits of your activities. And then he's also described how to engage with work and then be in total renunciation. Just don't even act. Just be a complete renunciate or a sannyasi. So at this point in the 5th chapter of the Gita, Arjuna asks Krishna, which one is better, to act or not to act? And so we are now arriving at verse 2 in chapter 5, where Krishna gives his response. Let's see what he says. Which one is better? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. So if you look at the Sanskrit of this verse, you see karma sannyasat, which means the renunciation of work. Karma means work and sannyasat means to give up. And karma yoga means, karma yoga is to engage your action as yoga, to link with the divine, as devotional service. And then vishishyate, karma yoga is better. So it's interesting that Krishna is saying here both are good. It's not like renunciation is bad, don't even go in that direction, and only do karma yoga, only do devotional service. Actually, both are beneficial. I was thinking of an example of this was with when COVID-19 really hit. Everything ground to a halt, and everyone just had to stay home. And you could say that they were renouncing all of their activities. And in some ways, it was good. Some people connected with their families. They nourished themselves physically. Some people learned how to cook, like me. I explored many new recipes. And in general, it was just healthier for the environment, without all the planes in the air, all the cars on the road. But the problem is that at some point, we're going to come back to normal. And they actually have a term for this phenomenon when society has to grind to a halt and then it picks back up again. It's almost like revenge pollution, where pollution is worse than it was before the event happened. And that is what has happened with COVID-19. There was like this upsurge of people almost catching up with their lives, and there was more pollution than usual. And so just cessation of activities is not enough to purify the heart. And so Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that just having knowledge is not enough. You have to act with devotion. He says that without Krishna consciousness, mere renunciation of fruitive activities does not actually purify the heart of a conditioned soul. So without that purification, as soon as you pick up those activities again, you're going to return right back to where you started. So as soon as the world got going again, I just went back to my old habits. It wasn't like COVID-19 purified any habits. So it's important to realize here that our activities need to be refined actively. And so Krishna is emphasizing karma yoga. This activity is what is going to purify the heart. So that's number one. We need to act with devotion. And number two, renunciation implies that I'm giving up something. That's what renunciation is. I'm giving up some action, course of belief. I'm giving it up. But there's also this connotation that I first owned it. It was mine to begin with. The classic example that Srila Prabhupada often gives is that, you can't just walk into a bank and say, I renounce all of the money in this bank. I decide to no longer own a single cent in this building or through any of the online branches of this bank. it's preposterous because I never owned it to begin with. So how is it mine to renounce? So similarly, everything in this world belongs to Krishna. So if I was to say in any way that I renounce anything of this world, it's pretty false. So Prabhupada writes here that one should understand that factually nothing belongs to anyone. Then where is the question of renunciation? So there's an interesting logical conclusion that's being drawn here, which is that Arjuna is asking which one's better, renunciation or acting with devotion. And on a logical level, renunciation doesn't really even fully exist. Like it's not yours to renounce. And I know that we're thinking about physical objects. I'm going to renounce this money, or I'm going to renounce this house, this phone. But even our activities, they're not really ours if you think about it, because even this body is not ours. We were born into this body, and then our soul will move on once the body dies. So even this body is not truly ours. It's somehow this temple that we live in as we're in this body. So it's not ours. So even the activities that we do in this body don't truly belong to us. They belong to Krishna. Karma yoga is about making that connection. My activities are connected to Krishna. And then there is a proper situation. Prabhupada says here, since everything belongs to Krishna, everything should be employed in the service of Krishna. And this is perfect form of Krishna consciousness. So whatever my actions are, I can apply those in Karma Yoga, this action within devotion. So renunciation of action just looks like it's, a possible avenue of something to do, but actually we're all meant to engage our bodies and our minds and our hearts in devotion to Krishna. So those are my reflections on chapter 5, verse 2 of the Bhagavad-gita, and I will see you next time. Hare Krishna.